see. So a drum rack is a MIDI instrument. It's designed for drums, but it kind of doesn't have to be. You can do anything you want with it. But we get these kind of pads that show us what's happening. So in a case like this, we made one by doing the slice to new MIDI track, but we can just make one from scratch, and we'll do that in just a second in the next video. For now, I just kind of want to explore what's here. What we're seeing is a few different things kind of all at once. So here is where all of these boxes is where our samples are stored. Okay, we can play them by hitting this play button. It's a quiet one. Or am I muted? Yes. Okay. We can mute it so this one never plays, or we can solo so only this one plays. It's cool. If we double click on the slice, we can see effectively what we have here is another MIDI instrument. This is a MIDI instrument called a sampler. It's basically just a tiny sampler. And so Live has loaded this sampler instrument onto every one of these slices, okay? So they all have a sampler instrument on them, and they all contain a little piece of that drum loop. So there's a lot of things I can do with sampler. We'll go into like the deep dive into the sampler and like what every dial means soon. Don't worry about that. But I also have these dials out here. These are called macros, and we're going to see these all over the place once we start getting into instruments. But these are some controls that are going to affect all the samples. Okay, so loop length, start offset. I can kind of squeeze forward where the sample starts and stops. This set of 4 we're going to see a lot. Attack, decay, sustain, release. This is a very common thing that you'll see everywhere. This just kind of has to do with the shape of the sound, how long it sustains, whether it fades out or just kind of comes to an end. Does it fade in or just start right on it? So we can kind of sculpt the sound a little bit more there. Again, we'll do a ton of this when we get into sound design. So one kind of tricky thing is that if you want to play this with a MIDI keyboard, you have to look here. So this is basically the range of your whole MIDI keyboard as if it was all done in these little blocks. So if I did this, okay, I'm playing a MIDI note, but I'm not hearing it. And here's why. I'm playing a MIDI note down here. It's too low. These ones, the lighter gray color, that's where there's a sample. Okay, so I need to go up higher. There we go. To get to where my samples are. Similarly, you might play some notes and be like way too high. Okay, so if you're playing notes and you're not hearing them,